Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video I'll be going over the 9.1.5 official patch notes. A little bit late on these, but I still want to get this out there because I like to go over these. And yeah, this is a huge patch. Not all of it is content related, of course, but it is just generally a huge patch. On Wowhead reading the patch notes as they came. So let's go ahead and get started through here. First of all, they added a bunch of achievements. These are just basically things to get your... They didn't add the achievements, but they added modifications to the achievements for Mechagon to get all that, the Mecha Done achievement done, the big meta achievement there. So these are just quality of life changes to that, because there's still people trying to farm those if you don't know the Mecha Done achievement stuff. So made that a little bit easier. Some allied race changes, new character customization options for High Mountain, Lightforge, Nightborn, and Void Elves. So we've gone over these a lot online. But yeah, there's just a few little changes for them, more customization. Lightforge Draenei Paladins, which just happens to be what I play, now have a unique class mount, the Lightforge Rune Strider, so I get to use that mount. Plan on doing so. The dungeon quests for unlocking Coltiran humans, Mechanomes, Dark Iron Dwarves are no longer required. After accepting the dungeon quest, speak to the NPC again to choose to skip the quest. So apparently this is only Alliance because this is 3 of them, so maybe the Horde didn't have to do that. So if you're a Horde player, if you didn't know, you had to do a dungeon, just like a little dungeon scenario thing when you made your characters for these allied races. Fixed an issue with the mouse on several Nightborn face options. So the mouse I think they were angrier than they're supposed to be, I believe, was the thing. There's a little art change here, which actually is pretty cool. But added weather effects to Stormwind and Ogremar. Obviously not a huge deal, but there just wasn't weather there before, and now there is, so that's cool. So classes, this is all just going to be the AoE cap stuff. So if you want to know your specific, if you don't already know how your class is being changed or how your classes, if you play more than one character, are being changed, I guarantee you somebody made a specific video about this when they first released this. Like I know I made a Rep Paladin one, for example. So if you are interested in knowing how your class is affected by the target cap being removed, I suggest searching for your class/spec and target cap removed, what it means. That'll be like in the title, something like that. So they can just go over all the spells that were now not AoE capped, essentially. And then covenant changes. So this is one of the bigger changes for this patch. Players who reach 80 renown with any covenant and I'll be able to freely switch to other things without losing anything, essentially. So you can already be at 80 renown right now if you've been keeping up. And you can now switch covenants when this patch goes live. So, for example, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go Venthyr and build up my renown with them. I do believe you do have stuff to build up your renown. There's a catch-up mechanic that will get you to 40 renown instantly, but I do think you still have to grind 40 to 80. But what you can freely do, if you're like me and you've been with one covenant for the entire expansion, you can go ahead and switch to the other covenants and start building them up. When you switch back, you do get to keep all your stuff when you switch back. So that's what it means by switch freely. And then when you switch back to Venthyr or whatever, you'll be where you left off on the Venthyr. And then, but the point is you do still have to build them up. So it's something you can work on in off time or whatever. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm definitely going to build up my Venthyr at least. So I have that option. And then go back to Kyrian for most of the time. Kind of energy's been removed, so they already kind of made it so it was pointless anyways by giving you a refill every day or something like that. But it's just been completely removed, so that's good. Conduits can now be freely swappable without any restrictions. I believe you still have to be at your Sanctum, though, so that is a restriction. But yeah. Reaching 80 renown no longer requires the Covenant campaign. That's just quality of life, not a huge deal. Unlocking the third... This is actually a good one for people who play alts. Unlocking your third soulbind on any character allows alternate characters joining the same covenant. So if you are Kyrian on your main, once you get the third one unlocked, which would be Makakanos or whatever his name is, the little steward guy, then you... if you make another character then go Kyrian, you'll get a quest to immediately unlock it. So you don't have to go through all this stuff to do it. There's new covenant toys added as well. Night Fae have new soul shapes added, critter shapes, which is just little critter options for soul shapes, and option to soul shape and critter shape into randomly collected appearances as well. Sanctum Ventures, mall missions unlocked by maximum adventure level appear more often, Anima Conductor just made quality of life there. Redeem Souls, all players now have 20 Redeem Soul quests, so it doesn't like build up or whatever like that. And rescuing souls within Torghast now earns credit for this. So just doing your Torghast, you'll get this done. It's actually worth probably just picking up this quest now every week if you haven't been. I have not been because I have everything maxed out, at least on my main. But even on your alts, if you're still doing Torghast on your alts for whatever reason, which I do Torghast on a couple of my alts, you could grab this quest and get the Return Lost Souls done quite easy. Carrying Path of Ascension has had some quality of life changes to it. If you're really into Carrying Path of Ascension, these are all good changes. Night Fae, Queen's Conservative, Seeds now stacked to 200 to 20. I know I have some guildies who are pretty pumped about that. And then some Ember Court changes as well. They're just trying to make these things more accessible, they're trying to get players to engage with them more because they weren't super engaging beforehand. Up next, we have Dungeons and Raids, Time Walking, New Legion Time Walking. This event will run for 2 weeks the first time, and then it will be a regular 1 week schedule subsequently. However, who knows how they're going to change this if people really like it. Right now, people are pumped about it and saying there should be more time walking. I don't know if people will still feel that way, in a month or two or whatever. This is something that people change their minds on a lot. I've changed my mind on time walking over time as well. But it's going to be 2 weeks and just back onto the regular rotation. The Mage Tower will be active, so this is super exciting. You can do the Mage Tower again. It unlocks special transmog stuff. And the druids can get the werebear form as well. And if you do this on all of them, you can unlock a spell tome mount, which is actually pretty cool. And by all of them, I mean all the challenges. I believe there's like 3, 6. Is there 8 challenges or 9 challenges? I don't know exactly how many challenges there are, but there's a handful of different challenges, and you just have to do the different challenges. I actually did a video about unlocking them out. If you're more curious about the exact details of it, I am fuzzy on the details right now. It might be in here somewhere, but I don't feel like reading the entire thing. The weekly bonus event schedule has been adjusted, and now Time Walking Dungeon events will occur every 3 weeks, was alternating every 3rd or 4th week. So it is much more often. So this was a change I've seen people wanted and hadn't really heard about, honestly. Defeating Time Walking raid bosses will also provide credit towards the Time Walking weekly quests, a Burning Path Through Time, a Frozen Path Through Time, and a Shattered Path Through Time. The list of available dungeons during Time Walking holidays has been adjusted. So the Burning Crusade, the new ones are Blood Furnace, Botanica, and Underbog. Pretty good. They removed Arcatraz, Black Morass, and Slave Pens. So Slave Pens is fine, but I like them switching it up. Maybe they're just going to do a rotation of these as well to get more dungeons. Wrath of the Lich King, Azjol Narub, Forge of Souls, Utgard Keep added, removing Ankahet, Pit of Saran, and Utgard Pinnacle. Cataclysm, they're adding Blackrock Caverns and removing Grim Batol. I really like Grim Batol, but that's okay. Mist of Pandaria, new is Sholomance, and removed is Siege of Temple. Sorry, I can't. Niaozu Temple. Warlords of Draenor, they're adding Grimwell Depot in and removing Iron Docks. Time-worn Keystones. While Legion Time Walking is active, players can speak to the guy in Orbos, Toss-Up, to acquire a Time-worn Keystone, allowing access to max level Mythic Plus difficulty for the 6 Legion dungeons. Legion Mythic Plus dungeons accessed in this way will have their own set of affixes, reward loot of the same item level as Shadowlands Mythic Plus dungeons, and count toward weekly Great Vault reward options. Items acquired through Legion Mythic Plus dungeons can be upgraded with Valor points, but will not appear in the Great Vault. So you will not get Great Vault Legion items, but you can upgrade them with Valor points, essentially. The new Infernal affix, these are just Infernal beacons that are found near the bosses. Activating a beacon or engaging a nearby boss will trigger a Legion invasion, available on Legion Time War Keystone, level 10 or higher, so it's like the seasonal affix for this. Mythic Plus affixes, Bolster, now has a 20-second duration. It was permanent, so nerf there. Necrotic Wound and Raging, all these things have been nerfed a little bit. Legacy Raids, the following encounters have been adjusted to be less challenging. Antorus the Burning Throne, Antoran High Command, Ayanor the Lifebinder, that one was definitely giving me trouble. Verimathras, Coven of Shavara, Agrimar, all of those have been made easier. Tomb of Sojourners, Desolate Host, that one was difficult. Fallen Avatar, Kil'jaeden, all been nerfed. Nighthold, Gul'dan, Trial of Valor, Helya, all those things have been nerfed. This is a big one because this is not even This is just good for in general. All cooldowns of 2 minutes or longer now reset at the end of raid encounters or when starting a Mythic Plus dungeon was 3 minute or longer cooldowns. This is not applied to Shaman's Reincarnation or Warlock's Ritual of Doom. Legacy loot rules are now in place for Battle of Azeroth raids and dungeons. These encounters will now drop a fixed quantity of class agnostic loot regardless of group size. So it is worth farming BFA stuff at this point. The prompt to enter the Time Walking Campaign random dungeon queue for all expansions will now occur after 5 minutes in the queue was 15 minutes. Island expeditions and war fronts. You are now able to set sail on normal, heroic, and mythic island expeditions alone. This is one that I'm actually somewhat excited to do because I did not farm islands very much during BFA. Speak with the captain guy for Horde or Flynn Fairwind for Alliance to begin your soloing seafarer voyage, and lower the amount of players required to queue for the Warfront stuff to 5 from 15. So you do still need a party though. Items and rewards. This is just a lot of stuff. I'm not going to go through everything here, but they did add and change items and rewards throughout there. Korthi and the Maw, tons of quality of life stuff here that probably should have been in the game even earlier. Maybe just at a normal 9.1.5 patch time would have been fine, like a month or two ago. But just basically tons of stuff. More relics, more alt-friendly, be able to target a specific piece of loot with the loot things you can get there instead of it randomly generating one. Just all kinds of things like that just to make it more easy. Some pet battle changes, not going to get into all of these. But again, quality of life, all these things are good things, even if it's not something you're interested in. Player versus player, these are good changes. I don't think they fix everything. But essentially they're adding different breakpoints in loot. Instead of having like a giant jump in item level, you can slowly get more item level. So basically at 1000 you're combatant 1, item level 239 PvP. I'll just talk in PvP terms, so don't get twisted. This is not PvE item level. At 1200 rank 3 combatant 2. So basically they added combatant 2, challenger 2, rival 2, where the item level goes up by 3. Instead of having a 236 to 242, you have 236 to 239 to 242, a little bit of a gap in between there. So that's their idea to balance it out. Again, it's helpful, but it's not really going to solve the issue, unfortunately. The honor cost upgrade unrated gear is reduced by 25%, and the conquest cost upgrade rated gear has been adjusted to spread across the new ranks. Again, these are good changes. People wanted just to get more honor points or period. But reducing the cost by 25%, it's the same as increasing the honor gain by 25% essentially. Covenants, some covenant changes. Fleshcraft gets a little bit of a nerf. There's some druid changes with different covenant stuff. I'm not going to get into all these because I don't know how every single class plays, and I don't want to say something wrong. Some profession quality of life. Mining ore drops across all zones increased by 20%. Skinning 20%, jewel crafting 10%, and lightless silk increased by 20%. So there's pros and cons to this, depending on who you are, essentially, and how it affects you. If you're somebody who farms your own stuff and isn't doing it to make gold, it's a pro. If you're someone who relies on selling these things to make gold, it's a con because people can just get more of it on their own and make farm on their own, essentially. So it's a con for you if you kind of have a market covered. Quests, alternate characters on an account can now choose to skip introductory Shadowlands quest line that takes place in the Maw, so you can finally skip the Maw beginning. Rune carving, the rune carver will now offer to destroy an existing legendary item and return all soul ash or soul cinders that were spent to create the item, so you can scrap it essentially. The drop rates of rune carving recipes found in dungeons has been increased to 100% on all difficulties, so now you don't have to worry about getting your legendary. It's not as difficult. I imagine that means raid 2. So if yours is off of Sire Dynathrius or something, you should only have to do the raid finder one time for him. It might have already been near 100% anyways, but it is 100% in all dungeons at least. So in the Threads of Fate, this is something I did a video on because this is kind of cool. Talinara now offers Torghast daily quests for experience in Soul Ash. It's really good. Talinara now offers PvP Battlegrounds daily quests. Threads of Fate bonus objectives are now significantly shorter and reward renown. Threads of Fate zone objectives now reward higher item level, gear, and anima. So just, again, quality of life of leveling in the Shadowlands. Torghast changes. Repeating Wings now gives the full amount of Soul Ash. It was 20%. Repeating Wings now awards full amount of Soul Cinders, up from none. So in the first clear, after the first clear. So you can now farm Soul Ash and Soul Cinders freely. I think Soul Ash should have already been that way. It didn't really matter because of how much you just acquire. I think I have like 15,000 Soul Ash. Soul Cinders, at some point this needed to happen. I do think some of these things probably shouldn't wait until the 0.5 patch. It should be like a month. I think what I've been saying is like a month, and at the most 2 months after the patch drops. That's when these quality of life things should probably kick in. So it is a bit late for this, but it is good anyways. And I don't know if that's too much work for them to do it, 2 months in. But if it's less stuff in the 0.5 patch, but we get better quality of life a month or two in for alts and stuff, or if you just want to change your main, I think that would be good. User interface accessibility changes. I'm not going to get into all these. These are really good, though. And if this affects you, then I'm really happy for you. WoW Companion apps, the last thing listed here. Well, the Draenor missions are now accessible on the WoW Companion app, because previously they weren't, if you didn't know that. It sounds kind of dumb, and it was kind of dumb, frankly. But you now can do that, so they've added that in. That's it for these patch notes. It's really long. Tons of stuff, again, added. Not a lot of content. The content added is like the Legion time walking stuff, the Mage Tower. And other than that, it's like quality of life improvements to old content and current content. It's really good for a 0.5 patch, but obviously everybody's itching for like a real patch and real content at this point. But it is what it is. For a 0.5 patch, it's really good. And it looks like the actual patch will probably be in March now. I was suggesting February. Which I think was the ideal goal, but then they pushed back a book release to March from February, which now makes me think March, and I've seen other people say that as well. So it's probably going to be March, so we still have a few months left, guys, unfortunately. Maybe it still happens in February, but I highly doubt it at this point because of that randomly switching when that book releases. So that's about it for this video. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel, and everybody have a good one.